Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Footy Fantasy Podcast. Today is a review of the Derby, the Manchester Derby, for sure. We have a new guest, a City fan, Yannicka. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
She's from Yan City podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, my podcast is called Gyaldem City.
Okay.
And that's on Sarcasm City, but then I have my own YouTube, which is Yan City ENT.
Okay.
Cool.
Daniel, returning guest, United fan. Thanks for coming on, Daniel, as always.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
Before we dive into the most interesting derby ever we've witnessed, I'd like to tell you guys where you can find us. Facebook as Extraordinary Footy Fans. This podcast will be on YouTube at the Footy Fantasy. You can find us anywhere you get your podcast. It's called the Footy Fantasy Podcast. Instagram, Fantasy Footy. All our addresses will be at the end of the pod. So we'll dive in. So what we'll be discussing today, talk about the game. Not much talk about, but we'll still talk about it. Do a combined 11 over the past 10 years, and we'll give our weekly awards for the week. So Daniel, tell me, according to your manager, he said this was his best performance, the best performance yeah, he has had. He said the best performance in a derby, right? That's what he said. This is what his quotes. He said not the best result, but the best performance.
Yeah, that's straight BS. He can twist it any way he wants. The truth is, this is the game you should have saved. Like, this is the gameplay you should have saved for Leipzig. At the end of the day, it's just a waste. Like, it's a waste of a week, because losing this derby honestly wouldn't have mattered if we had secured our spot in the round of 16. And the fact that, okay, you've lost the chance to go to continue the Champions League, and then you end up drawing at home. It's like, what's the point? What were your priorities? So it's weird. Like, sometimes when you hear him speak, it's like, what is this guy talking about? Like, I know you have to be a manager, you have to be like diplomatic, you have to, say things that, would kind of like lift the mood, but sometimes, like, just say the plain old truth. Like, that was a terrible performance. Maybe he's looking at it in terms of, it maybe if we could have done this kind of performance against Leipzig, we wouldn't be in the shit we're in. And that's, for him, it's like, okay, credit to the performance, but it was a horrible game to watch. Yeah.
Yannicka,
Yeah.
title race is on, yeah? What are your thoughts about that derby?
I keep saying it. I think it's the worst derby I've ever seen. Normally in a derby, win or lose, there's passion. The players turn up. They go for it. There's usually a scrap or two in the middle. There's all sorts of stuff happens. Fighting, red cards, just excitement. I expected excitement. We didn't get that. I think City's season so far has been a little bit slow. We haven't looked good in terms of being clinical. We're not clinical. So everything kind of works. And then when we get into the final third, doesn't quite click. So I think that's been a problem for us throughout the season. I thought we were kind of over it a little bit, because when we qualified in the Champions League, we then looked like we were focusing back on the league, and we got a few good results. But then it kind of seems like we had the same problem with United that we've been having before, our good form kind of came in. So I think there's definitely issues there with City going forward. I'm happy with our defence. I think we've definitely tightened up at the back. We needed to do that, and we have. Pep clearly set up the game to stop Man United counter-attacking, because he didn't want to lose. And it worked. but we didn't win either. And I just think, for me, the lack of passion as a Mancunian, that's what I want to see. And we didn't get that. And I think it's just, you know, a lot of fans are saying kind of like, oh, well, it's a point. That's not the point. Like, I think City fans would have rather we went out there, fought hard for it and lost, because at least then you can say, well, we went for it. But we just didn't go for it. United didn't go for it. It looked like we could have played another hour and both teams wouldn't have scored. It's just poor all over.
Correct.
All over. Poor.
Yeah.
Defensively quite good though for both teams, you know, depending on how you want to look at it. And that's probably why Ole is saying it was a good game, because, you know, when you're coming up against Raheem, Mahrez, you know, and Gab, you're probably expecting you might concede, whereas Maguire did well. So defensively and in the midfield, not too bad, but going forward, both teams shocking. And yeah, I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
Did you see the images of the players like hugging and stuff after the game?
Yeah, even get
and I'm
started.
like,
what are your thoughts about that, Daniel? Finish then. I'll ask Yannicka. What are your thoughts, Daniel?
I'm like, this is a derby. Like, we're not friends. Like, for 90 minutes, we're not even like, you can't show that. Like, could you imagine like the classic games, like United going to play Arsenal, for instance, and like Vieira and Keane hugging it out after the game? Like, no. Honestly, even if that game was boring and, you know, we had like maybe a couple red cards or like multiple bookings, I was like, okay, yeah, at least, you know, the intensity's there, the intent is there, but like there was absolutely nothing. It's just like hugging and joking after the game like it's a friendly.
What are your thoughts, Yannicka?
Game's gone. Game's gone.
Game's gone.
You know what? Like, it's interesting actually, because I was saying earlier, I was on a podcast earlier and I was saying that I remember when Van Persie scored that late winner at the Etihad, that night there was an awards show or something like that, and Joe Hart was sat next to Van Persie like this, laughing, and City fans got onto him because they were like, under no circumstances do you lose a derby that late and then you're laughing and joking with the match winner the same night. And City fans got onto him. And like, I don't know, maybe because John Stones is not from Manchester, I don't know. And this is why I would have liked to have seen Foden, because he's not, the passion would have been there for him, regardless of how he played. The passion would have been there. But I just think it's mad because like Sergio Aguero, he's literally said on like when interviews, when they've asked him, he's like, if I see a Man United player, I cross the road. But the thing is, like, he's not being serious because he's friends with Raja and he's friends with the Argentinians that play for Man United. Right. But it's like, he's not going to come out there and say, oh, yeah, when I see a United player, I'm like, he doesn't say that. And they asked him once, if you could take one Man United player in your squad, who would you take? And he said, I'd play with 10 men. This is what I want to see from my players. I don't care if he's being truthful or not. That's what I want to see as a City fan. You know, Company wouldn't have it. If Company was on that pitch, John Stones would not be hugging up Maguire. And I just feel like, you know, your Zaballetas, your Agueros, your Companies, the people that wouldn't do that were not on the pitch. And it's just like, I don't care if Stones is friends with Maguire, they play together, you know, for England, but you can't do that on Derby Day. And especially if you win, do it. Do you know what I mean? And then it's on the other player then.
Yeah.
Because Maguire would have been Maguire widely hugging up Stones. But to be fair, they both had a good performance in terms of defence because they didn't concede. But win the game first and then you can hug. Do you know what I mean? Because it's fans do not want to see that, and fans are not happy, and they shouldn't be. So yeah, that's my rant over.
That's fair enough. Funny enough, I have a totally different opinion than both of you. Totally different opinion. The whole the game is gone. We need to show passion. I feel like football has moved on from the dark ages of fire and grit. Like on the pitch, I want to see that. I absolutely agree. After the game, all those things. Like, I feel like the game has moved past that. Like, I think people want to see, for example, two people going at each other, screaming. That's why you don't really see teammates going at each other anymore. It doesn't mean when they go into the dressing room, they give each other a rollicking, right? The time we lost to Spurs, we had Bruno and Matic went at it in the dressing room. So like that's why you see a lot of times players are angry with each other, they talk to each other, they cover their mouths. Because I feel like where we are now, people have to be careful what they say on how they portray things. So those things, personally to me, and this is me that have been watching football for over 20 something years. I grew up experiencing Roy Keane, company, like the physical players, like the hatchet men who all they do just go and hack people down. The Haaland's father, what's his name again? Alfie Haaland. I grew up watching all of this. Trust me.
Oh yeah, his dad. Yeah.
Yeah, his dad, Alfie Haaland. I grew up watching all of this hatchet man. I remember all of this very well, but I also understand that football has changed. The times have changed. That's just my personal opinion. As a Mancunian, I respect that, and I understand that. If I was a Mancunian, maybe I would have seen this totally differently, right? But for me, from the outside looking in, not being a Mancunian, but still being a Manchester United fan, those things don't really matter to me as much, to be honest. What I want to see is the passion on the pitch and the results. After the game is over,
you know what? I think if there'd been passion on the pitch,
you probably wouldn't have had a problem with that.
I don't think this conversation would be happening. It's the fact that the derby was nicey. It looked like they said before the game, let's just draw. Like it was terrible. And then after that, you're hugging each other like you've got something to celebrate. That's not something to celebrate. Like, I think if you win the game, that's different because you're celebrating. And then if he doesn't want to hug you, that's fine. But I think players are friends. We know that. Like where I grew up, a lot of footballers lived in that area. Like you see, they live very close together. A lot of them live on like the same road. Do you know what I mean? So I get that they live together, they're friends outside of football, but it's like, even if you do that in the tunnel, it's just a little bit better. I just think on the pitch, like there's no fans, but the cameras are still rolling. I think you need to go into the tunnel and hug each other. Like Man City, they have
tunnel cam.
They have like tunnel camera. So you can go and watch like all the matches, and you see players come off the pitch and they're swapping shirts and they're hugging, but they don't do it in front of the fans. And I just think, I know there's no fans in the stadium, but it's like you still got to kind of, meet him after the game if you want to. I just think, I just don't get that hugging thing. It was a bit weird. I don't mind giving a shake of the hand. That's sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Or a hug. Like
both of you live in Manchester. You're always gonna see each other. Like what's
it tells you how interesting the game was. That this is the talking point.
This is the talking point, I feel like also like after that kind of performance, if fans were allowed in stadiums at this point, like that would probably be like one of the loudest collective boos you would have heard after the final, like from both sets of fans.
Yeah.
Because both managers were playing it safe, trying not to lose their jobs or trying not to like create a talking point out of them losing. So
I think also this is one of those things that this is what I always say, and I think I said after the Chelsea game. This draw as a Manchester United fan, this draw isn't a bad result if we go ahead and win our next 4 or 5 games. If we drop points going forward, then that is when it's like, because right now we're now in the situation we have played 4 games at home against traditional top 6 teams, and we have only 2 points
and one goal.
And 1 goal, and it wasn't from open play, right?
Penalty.
So I get it. Our away form is exceptional. It's like record breaking, and that's fine. But at some point, this home form has to turn around. Which is, I think it was West Brom. We've beaten only West Brom at home all season in the league. It was the West Brom game. So it's like, at some point, it has to turn around. So who was there any man of the match? Can we give her the man of the match? Who was the man of the match for you?
Do you know what? I'd say it's probably going to be, I think, did John Stones get it? I heard that John Stones got it, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I might be wrong, but I think he might have got it. But it'd probably be Maguire or...
Yeah, I heard it was Maguire or Shaw between those two.
It'd be a defender. Definitely not an attacker. Midfield, I think, obviously, the midfields did okay.
Yeah.
but nothing to get the man of the match. You
It's why
normally have
Maguire,
to at
maybe,
least
because
put a
he made
good ball in or
interceptions.
something like.
Middle of last minute blocks too, last
Last minute
second
blocks.
blocks.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into our combined 11.
Yeah.
4-3-3 is the formation we're going with.
Yeah.
So who's the keeper for this combined 11?
I think it's got to be De Gea.
Fair enough.
Over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've not had Edison that long. Before Edison, you know, it's got to be De Gea.
Okay,
I agree.
The peak was that makes sense. His peak
Yeah,
was
yeah. It's like five out of those 10 years.
Okay.
At the very least.
So who are center backs?
Okay.
Company for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Company.
and
then it'd be
no
between. I think I'd say Vidic for the other one. Company and Vidic. That's what I would say, but he might have different. Could be Ferdinand. Who else? Don't know.
10 years.
Yeah. So
I have
2010.
Based on like
it's how many years they played as well.
Yeah, how many after that 2010. I was thinking more like Company and Smalling. Because for some reason he always seems to like Smalling always seems to turn up like in the derby. I don't know what it is. But he tends to be very good. It's like when you look back at his his 2 goals and comeback. Even as far back as I don't know what year that Community Shield comeback was, but he scored in that one too.
Correct, he did.
So yeah, I don't know.
That's
so cool. Smalling's for you?
Yeah, I'd say Smalling, Company, Smalling.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I was going to go Vidic just because I like her.
Yeah, but the whole timeline thing is.
He was player of the year. He was player of the year in like 2011, if I remember. It wasn't a player of the year. Vidic was. That's one of the years. I think 11 was player of the year. The year we won it with like a constant least amount of goals. I think it was 2011. I think that was that year. He was player of the year, if I remember correctly. Right back. So we'll stay with Smallings. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right back.
I want to say Zabaleta. Just because of how well City did over the time. Mm-hmm. But then you've got Valencia from United. That's a hard one. I didn't know between Zabaleta and Valencia. Because I know Valencia did well for United. Mm-hmm. But over the 10 years, Zabaleta has been quite solid. So I don't know. That's a hard one for me.
When I was making my list, I was actually going to shift Zabaleta over to the left.
Oh, okay.
Put Valencia or one of them. I was going to switch one of them. Zabaleta or Valencia to the left or right. But I don't know. I think I'd go for Zabaleta.
I think Zabaleta is fair. I feel like Valencia's best years were as a seven, as a forward.
Yeah, as a forward.
Yeah. Uh-huh. By the time he was playing as a right back, which was who started playing as a right back? It was LVG that really started playing. Yeah, that's the right back. We're already done out here by that time. That time, City was just City was dominating. Left back.
I have an interesting choice for that.
It can't be a City player because we haven't really had
Ashley Young.
We haven't had, so I put Evra.
Even if it was 3-4 years of the 10.
No, Thing is, I'm trying so hard not to include because at this point, like I'm just so tired of the class of 08. I'm trying so hard not to involve them in anything that has to do with like the new United because I'm sick of it, bro. I'm sick of it.
I understand where you are. I do.
It's mirrored on these guys. Like, let them go. You know, this was ages ago. Let them go.
But they themselves don't want to go. Ever.
Oh man.
It's just because City have had such a problem with our left back. Like we struggled to get a left back that's, and obviously we have had them, but they've not been in long enough to kind of say, oh, they deserve it. That's why I'm thinking Evra, because he was for Man United, he was their solid player at the back. So
yeah, I agree with Evra.
Yeah, I think Ashley Young, no. I don't think Ashley Young should be there.
Ashley Young.
No.
Oh God, not him.
I was just thinking more in terms of like presence, like who the mainstays were, really not in terms of performance.
Okay, so midfield three. Let's jump in. Let's move this quickly.
I think we're going to disagree on this on the midfield.
Okay.
So I've got three. Yes, I'll give you my three.
Okay.
And then you can decide who you want to add, because I think you're going to say a United player, but I haven't included a United player just because over the past 10 years, City's midfield has been sick. So De Bruyne has to get in there. Like, he has to.
No argument here.
David Silva has to be in there. And for me, David Silva's irreplaceable. Like, you can't take him out for any United player. So it has to be David Silva.
Wow.
And between, this is what I'm struggling with. So overall, Yaya, because Yaya was sick. But I'd love to see Fernandinho in there, but I can't put him in because there's too many. So I think it's a hard one, because obviously if I was going to have two DMs, then I'd have Yaya and Fernandinho. And David Silva. That's what I would have as my three. But I think I'm going to say De Bruyne, Yaya, and Silva.
Wow. See, those are like EPL legends. Those
so hard. I know, that's so hard. That is so hard.
That's a strong midfield. Daniel, we find something put in there. Last 10 years.
Pogba has to get in there. Somehow. I don't know who's going to leave.
Pogba's on the bench.
Yeah, that's actually really hard to. For me, I'd say Yaya, without a question. Yaya, Kevin De Bruyne.
This says a lot of how Sir Alex Ferguson, literally his final years, neglected. We love Sir Alex. Neglected our midfield. It says a lot, because but at this time we had to beg Uncle Paul Scholes to come back. come back from retirement.
I mean, it says a lot if you can win the league and go the distance to Champions League with a midfield of, I mean, not to say that like these guys are shitty or anything, but like they just weren't talked about in the likes of other great midfielders. The Carricks and the Fletchers and the O'Shea's. We didn't really have any like crazy midfielders. So I think I'd go with a full City three.
I was going to say Carrick, but like Carrick cannot step to any of these three guys.
Nah, he can't.
That's what I thought you were going to say, Carrick, but I just think
Carrick.
Yaya overall, especially
Yaya
in the last 10 years, like I can't leave Yaya out. David Silva's just one of the best players the Premier League scene, so can't leave him out. He's a bit of a silent player. Like, he doesn't have the big stats, but he
honestly, I didn't start appreciating David Silva until probably I think maybe his last season.
Yeah.
Because the thing about me is I consider, like, especially like certain Spanish players, I consider them sort of like luxury players. Like they wouldn't be like, you wouldn't see them like heavily involved in like the physical aspects of the game, just because like they have like these deft touches and like movement and stuff. But man, Silva, like, what a send-off year he had. Like, even with the quarantine and lockdown and everything, like his performances coming out of that was just it's mind-blowing.
Think about it. Almost all the derbies we lost to City during this Guardiola run, and even before, David Silva had a hand in destroying us.
Yeah,
almost all the derbies. I remember. I've always rated David Silva, even from the time the 6-1, Balotelli thing. He knows how to pick defenses apart. Like, he is the king of match control. Like, the only player I know in European football at the time who I could put better than David Silva when David Silva was his peak in like match control, like how to quicken the pace, when to slow it down, when to make that incisive pass, the pre-assist that they call it, the pass, assist for the assist. He was very good at doing that. The only other person I knew that I could say better than was Iniesta. That was the only other person I used to put above Silva. That's how much I rated him. Like, this guy is incredible. Like, anytime we played City, if Silva starts, I'm like, oh my God, I'm worried. Because I know it's either he's making the pass for the pass, or is the one scoring the goal. A lot of times, he was scoring those rebounds.
Yeah.
The box. I'm just like, why this guy every time? Yeah, I hated him with a passion. I was like, this guy every time he picked us apart. So yeah, he has to get in there.
He
So
loved Old Trafford as well, man.
He said what?
He loved Old Trafford.
Yeah,
like
he did. I
we
wouldn't
needed
argue
him.
that. He
Really?
always used to just pick us apart. So the front three. Let's go to the front three now.
The front three. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is hard. This one. Okay, so you got to put Rooney in there.
Absolutely.
You know. So I put Rooney on a wing. Don't care which one.
He can play both.
He can play anywhere.
Yeah. I put Aguero as the striker because consistently.
I agree. You
can't pull Aguero. And then the other wing was a little bit harder. I've just put Sterling in terms of the leagues that he's won us. Do you know when he's come and scored good goals? I know at the moment he's not on the best form, but statistically, Sterling is sick. It's just that he doesn't look always at the best because he misses so many chances. He doesn't look the best, but he statistically is good. So, yeah, I think last 10 years, you know, because I would have said maybe Van Persie, but it was only like 1 year, 2 years. So it's not long enough. So I think that's why. But yeah, that's who I'd go with. I don't really mind if you change Sterling.
I'd go with Rashford for Sterling.
Yeah, I thought you might put Rashford.
Yeah.
I don't really mind, yeah. Doesn't really bother me.
It's just because he's done well in the derbies, I guess. He's always
scoring. Yeah, because like Raheem Sterling's record in derbies.
Oh, yeah, if it's about the derby, yeah, Rashford all day long.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Personally, that's what I based it on.
Sterling doesn't turn up.
You based yours on the
Yeah, I just based it on like derby performance. I didn't think like
a
combined.
I was saying like in totality.
Just in totality. Yeah, I mean in totality, I'd still probably put. I mean Sterling gets ahead of him. Yeah, but I'd probably still put Rashford in ahead of Sterling.
You think Rashford is a better player than Sterling?
Don't put me on the spot now.
I've had this argument.
That's not what I said.
Okay, no, you can.
That's not what I said. I think Rashford has the potential to be a better player.
Okay.
To be the better player.
Okay. I think so too. With better coaching, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think Sterling is just coached better. And is in a better system.
He is. And like you've literally seen his improvement. Like from like his first season.
Rashford at City would kill it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to make that happen.
No, that's what happened.
That's what I'm trying to do. When I meet Rashford, I'm just going to be like, why don't you just come to City? It makes sense. Like,
no, he would never do that. So you have to put in front of his name, Sir Rashford. He's an MBE.
MBE.
Sir Rashford. He's Mancunian 100%. He's not.
Yeah,
he's not.
I like Rashford. I know his brother. I don't know his whole family, but I know
you do? Brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we do bench? Bench is just gonna get complicated. I don't think we should do bench. Who's manager? We need to get.
If it's Derby day, then I'd say Pogba on the bench. I'm just trying to think. Derby day.
You get to put one defender, one midfielder, one striker on the bench.
Okay. For the striker, if we're talking about Derby day, then I would say Dzeko, potentially. Either Dzeko or Van Persie.
Okay.
Defender, Derby. Just trying to think.
There haven't been really any notable solid performances, like solid center back performances on Derby Day, just because like we're used to seeing so many goals. Just in general, like if it's not 4-3, it's a 3-2, it's a 2-1, it's a 6-1.
I think we need to go on. We have just 9 minutes left. The time has popped up. Daniel, just choose somebody. So Pogba, we can agree Pogba is on the bench.
Pogba is the midfielder.
Defender.
And I don't know. Laporta, I don't know.
Yeah, Laporte recently.
Laporta is good.
Striker.
Anthony Martial. Or man, going back 10 years, City have a lot of strikers.
That's what I mean. I think I'm just trying to think because I know Nasri scored a few, but he's not a striker. Dzeko.
I'd go with
Dzeko has
Dzeko.
to get it. Yeah,
Go with
Dzeko
Dzeko.
really good.
Such an annoying guy to face. Going into derbies, there were two things that I was always worried about. It could be any random two things, but the one thing that was constant was always Aguero at the near post. Like in my head, like I've seen him fizzing the ball in from a ridiculously tight angle, and he's just absolutely roofed it each time, and it happens every single time.
I will never forget the one.
Oh my god!
I think it was Mourinho's final year, the 3-1.
That was a brutal game. Like they sucked the life out of us. Then they killed us in the second half of that goal, and then Raheem goes into the corner. And he's like shielding the ball with the corner flag and doing like tricks and stuff against 30-something-year-old Juan Mata. I was like, come on.
Oh, the way I go, when that ball, I was just mad.
That was brutal.
How can you defend this? Like, look at where this guy put the ball. Aguero is just something else. Okay, we have to jump to our awards. Let's start with Daniel.
Which one?
Donkey for the week.
Kudos for the week. Type one. I'd say Demba Ba. Obviously for obvious reasons. The whole shenanigans that went on in Istanbul. It was I was glad to see that at least he spoke up, stood up for what he believed in, and a lot of things have to change with regards to like just language in general, and how it pertains to racism in the sport. Like there's no excuse, whatsoever. So kudos to him. Biggest donkey, I don't know. Ole, yeah, for sure. 'Cause like I said, there's no reason to play. Like I wouldn't mind playing the way we did at Leipzig and losing 3-2, but still like to City, but still being in. It's the Champions League, man. I trolled all my Arsenal friends about Thursday football, and like here I am, like waiting for this stupid Europa League anthem to start playing on Thursdays in the spring. I'm
not watching. I'm sorry.
I'm definitely not watching.
I'm not watching.
I will definitely not be watching.
I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's an interesting game, I'll catch highlights.
There's nothing making me watch soccer on a Thursday. No way.
Okay. Yannicka, who's your kudos for the week and donkey of the week?
I'm gonna stick with the Champions League. My kudos of the week has to be a Man City player, which is Angelino for Leipzig.
What?
Because he got 1 goal and 2 assists against United to kick you. Like, I'm sorry, right? That was the rivalry that we needed in the derby. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got a Man City player kicking United out of Europe. And then when it comes to the time for us to kick you when you're down, the players don't even turn up. Like, oh, mate, I'm annoyed. I would have scored in that derby. Like, not happy. So, yeah, it has to be him. I think he had a great game. He plays really well in their system. Doesn't work so well for City, but plays really well in their system. Donkey of the week's a hard one. I think, okay, I'm going to give it Lukaku, right? And my reason for giving it Lukaku is he headed it out. Like, come on. Like, you need to get that goal. He gets it on target. And you head it away.
He stopped it from going in.
It has to be
Lukaku is so lucky, though.
Didn't he what's his name? Timo Werner. I think last week he had like a similar chance where if he had left the ball, it would have gone into the net. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness. So I'll say
That was an
mine.
embarrassing miss. Yeah.
Sticking with the Champions League, my kudos for the week actually goes to Marco Rosa, the manager for Borussia Mönchengladbach. This is their first time. That team, I think they have this one of the lowest net spend value team.
Mhm.
Their first time they qualified for the Champions League second round in a group that had Real Madrid and Inter,
Inter Milan.
and they made it through. So kudos to them. Kudos to their manager. Kudos to the German league. I think they call them the Farmers League. The Farmers League have 4 people now in the knockout stages. So yeah, so that's my kudos for the week. The donkey of the week is 2 people actually. Sticking with Champions League. Also, the officials, like you mentioned, I think that's unacceptable between PSG and Istanbul Başakşehir. I think that's how it's pronounced. The guy that called him the black guy thing. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
think, and a lot of narratives around that, in my opinion, should take the donkey of the week. People like John Barnes, who felt it was his place to come and speak out for everybody, and put a spotlight on the reaction of a black person again instead of concern on the actual problem.
Yeah.
I think everybody around that they get my
The
donkey of the week.
discourse. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
the discourse.
Even Micah Richards, I was kind of disappointed.
Oh yeah.
Because he tried to be like, when people are talking about racism and race relations, and somebody goes, let me play the devil's advocate. Like I promise you, the devil did not ask. Like you completely lose me there, where you're like, oh, let me play devil's advocate. I'm like, no, no.
It should not be always up for debate.
Exactly.
These are serious
Exactly.
issues. Not always be up for debate.
That's what I think. Like, some things can be debatable, but when it comes to racism, if you're not going to say something pro-black, just don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
And I think John Barnes, he's the worst one
because
he seems to represent black people when he's just, he's only black on the outside.
The other donkey of the week, yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's Antonio Conte. He's on fraud watch, the manager of Inter. You cannot. I'm sorry. Even when he was in Juventus and he had a world-class team, he has never gone past the quarterfinals. He knows how to win league titles. I think he gets a lot of plaudits for that. What he did at Chelsea, I think that was fantastic. He came within one season, won the league, ran away with it. I give him respect for that. But his record in Europe is terrible. So yes, he gets my donkey. He's on my fraud watch, serious fraud watch right now. Like, how can he didn't even make Europa. He went out completely. Yeah. That is where we're going to end. We have less than a minute. That's where we're going to end. Yannicka from Caldem City, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
This was fun. Daniel, as always, United will rise. Hopefully we finish above the noisy neighbors.
I mean, right now we're above them, so
finish above at the end of the season. That's what matters.
We could, yeah.
I hope
we both have a game in hand. Someone was saying today that Man City are still they're still in the title race. I'm like, yo, look at the table. Everyone's in the title race. Everyone's in the title race, right? Because we're 2 points off the top with a game in hand. Yeah, both of us. So it's
Let me wrap it up. Thanks for coming, guys. At the end of the pod, all our addresses will be there. Also, look out for the FPL updates that will be at the end of the pod.
Nice.
Welcome to another edition of your Footy Fantasy FPL segment. And we're going to be talking about who's hot and who's not. And today, we're talking about the person who's not hot. His name is Timo Werner. Timo Werner of Chelsea. Price of 9.4 million, and he's blanked for 4 straight games without scoring. Okay, he set up a couple of goals in that time, but for that price, you're expecting much, much better. And with Chelsea looking like they'll be back to scoring ways in the next few fixtures, it might be time to be getting rid of Timo Werner and trying to get in strikers who actually score, maybe like Danny Ings, who's cheaper and who's also on penalties. So Timo Werner is no longer hot. And who's hot? Well, Thomas Suchek of West Ham, causing a lot of harm and damage to to opponents from set pieces. He scored in back-to-back games, and his price point is the most attractive proposition because he's just costing 5 million and he's played 90 minutes almost every single week. Thomas Sushek is hot, hot, hot. And West Ham are very good at set pieces. And Thomas Sushek is somebody who will be getting assists and goals from those situations. So get him in your team as a budget option coming up to the busy Christmas period. So keep an eye out for all the COVID-19 news. See which players are going to be out. The injuries are piling up. Players are going to be rested over this busy period. So it's a game of cat and mouse, trying to read into the press conferences and trying to see which managers might be resting which players. So this is one way to keep on top. That's my tip. Read a lot of news, a lot of Premier League news, if you want to keep on top during this period. And don't forget, the wild card will be coming into action very soon, the second wild card of the season. So don't panic too much. Don't waste too many points on taking negative hits, but try to plan towards the wild card and a potential double game week also coming up. That's our segment for this week. Take it easy and talk to you next time. Cheers.